So a common problem with our cars is the shifter having a little bit more play in it than we're comfortable with. So as you can see, I'm kind of moving this shifter in between gears, and even when it is in gear, there's still quite a bit of side-to-side play. And you might think, oh, that's because of the shifter pin here, but it turns out, pull that up, this one has actually already been rebuilt with thrust bearings, and see, every time I get this out of the way, every time I move this side to side, even when in gear, all of that play is resulting from the linkage of the transaxle. So this can be as tight as you want, but a lot of this play is still coming from the rear end. So this is the shifter linkage that was just pulled it out a minute ago, and I just wanted to show exactly what I mean when I say that there's lateral play, and it's pretty obvious exactly. There's play in this direction, axial play, and this is what really kills the shifting feel. And I don't know why you can see this in the video. There's actually one of these rubber bushings missing from up here. I have no idea how long it's been like that, but as you can see, every time you put the car into gear, you're having to overcome that play before you even start moving the actual selector shaft in the transmission. Alright, this is the finished shifter linkage. I'll kind of go over the basic details of it. As you can see, a lot of the main parts are reused, namely these two metal fittings, this one that goes side to side, and fore and aft. So the threads are cleaned up on everything. Then you can see that threads cleaned up here in a flex top lock nut fitted with some Loctite on it to keep everything together. And the main part is these thrust bearings, which are installed everywhere these silly compression rubber rings used to be, which would physically compress every time you shifted, and that was, after 30 years, you saw how it was before. So anyway, the consequence of this is very, very tight, secure feel. I'm going to put it in the vise and do the same test I did before. Alright. So this is kind of how it would be mounted on your transmission, assuming the selector shaft is being held still. So, oh, my wallet kind of came loose. So anyway, I'm giving it a fair amount of force back and forth, in and out, and it's just not doing anything. It's in there securely. I'm able to, move this up and down and this side to side, just using just barely any force at all. Yet there's still there's no give in it whatsoever. And if there is, it's so small that it can be ignored. So anyway, that pretty much sums up the rebuild. I reused everything that made sense. This plastic coupling had to be milled down to accept these thrust bearings, and this washer here had to be reused because it's kind of a special size. It sits on a shaft, or a shoulder on that shaft there. It's kind of like a weird 9mm ID, and then I don't know. It was just kind of one of the few parts I did reuse. A new snap ring, the other one was just disgusting. It almost fell in half. In fact, the last one that I did rebuild, it did fall in half. The last couple I have. So that just is kind of a quick rundown of the rebuild and what it gets you. Alright, this is the first test after I've installed it. Neutral is much more tight. Crisp. Second gear. Third. There's now a little bit of back and forth, but nowhere near as much as before. Neutral feels very solid and secure. Butter. Before, it was so worn out that I actually had to Dremel the side of this to get the end of this bolt. Got a nut on that side and a 50mm long M10 bolt. It would actually be hitting the side, and I actually had to remove that rubber underboot because it would keep me from going into fifth, and I couldn't go into reverse. But now, everything is right there. That feels a lot better.